Hey y'all, it's caveman. Today I'm going to be reading the 11th episode of Watashi ni Tenshi ga Maiorita. And what I really love about this episode was, even though it's been acknowledged, even though we have seen Miyako grow before our very eyes, we've actually never seen in canon, someone in the canonverse actually acknowledge Miyako's growth. And you know what? I finally love how we finally get some of the characters recognize it, because it was nice how when Miyako pretty much agreed to go to the festival of the school festival that was Noah's, Hana's, and Hinata's school, she actually agreed to it. And I like how in the canon, you actually have Miyako's mother even acknowledging that was something that Miyako wouldn't have done. Miyako wouldn't have done that in the past, but now she's doing that kind of stuff now. And I like how it just makes this episode have much more impact, because seeing that type of acknowledgement is beautiful to see. Because if you remember in episode 1, and I like how even Miyako acknowledges it herself too, that she wouldn't have done this earlier, and that's just true, because if we just look at the episode 1 Miyako, she would have never been willing to do this kind of stuff. So I like this kind of character development. It makes the growth feel much, much more earned. And then aside from that element in this episode, also like how in this episode you get to see at the very least the friendship of Miyako and Hana acknowledged by everyone else. Because I like how when Miyako takes Hana to like this haunted house themed thing in this festival that's involving the mother of Hana, I like how she drags Hana in there and it scares her completely, and then you see Hana crying. And I like how in this sequence you see Hana just throw fits, like she just gets angry at Miyako and her own Hana's and her own mother. And then I like how in that sequence Hana's mother acknowledges how much they've become friends. And I like how when you have Hinata and Noah even acknowledge that they're also friends with Miyako. I love that sequence, because at that point Hana isn't denying that she's friends with Miyako on this point. I thought that was a beautiful sight to see, because just a few episodes ago, if Hana would have been lumped into the friend category with Miyako, she probably would have been like, oh no, fuck no, or she would have just rejected right off the bat, but she didn't actually reject it. So I like that too. It shows you their bond between Hana and Miyako's growing at the very least. So that was actually a pretty cool thing to see about this episode. And I'd also like how during the episode it had some few comedic gags with Coyote pretty much trying to play sports, but every single time she tries it lands on her face. That was some cool, hilarious scenes. And I thought the comedy fit in well with the show, considering that they kind of do establish Coyote as somewhat clumsy at times. So the clumsy humor actually works in its favor, considering that with Coyote, she rarely shows up. So the anime is actually utilizing her properly, because if Coyote would be in every single episode, then this type of humor wouldn't work, because it'd probably be overused. But since this is only a singular episode and we haven't seen her in like 4 or 5 episodes since I think the festival where everyone's wearing the yukatakas, then I think this humor works pretty well. So that was also another good thing about this episode. The dialogue was lively. And aside from that, I was enjoying this episode when they were all making costumes together too, and you see Hana and Coyote fuck up, but everyone else succeeds. That gave me some good laughs. And also like how during this episode we not only got that, we even got to see Miyako do some hilarious shit right before the festival. So they're like putting on like this fucking mask and sunglasses, and then the teacher caught her, and then she had to be picked up by the 3 girls. That shit also got me laughing. So this episode actually had a good amount of scenes that made me laugh, honestly. And it helped elevate this episode. And that's why I thought this episode succeeded. You had character development for Hana and Miyako, because you see Miyako become more mature. You see Hana interact more confidently with Miyako, at the very least. And I also like how during this episode, from a story standpoint, it made me laugh multiple times. and honestly shows at this point this anime is consistent at being pretty darn good. And I'd say the only downside about the episode was the moments that had Matsumoto. Like when, don't get me wrong, the scene where Hinata invites her to to help out Miyako making the costumes was pretty nice. But then when she's saying some stuff like, oh, Kaori has potential, I'm like, but she only makes up a small part of the episode, so this episode still had more good than that, but I just feel like Matsumoto's character doesn't contribute much to the plot of this show. I mean, the other characters do, but Kaori doesn't really contribute much. But that's just the minorest of complaints, because everything else in this episode is pretty darn good. And I thought the animation was good for the most part, save for like sequences in the middle when there was a few stills. But I'm assuming they're saving their budget for next week's episode, for the play. So at the very least, the episode had some good setup and it ended on a pretty nice cliffhanger with them just about to start the play. So I'm pumped up for that. And taking all these factors into consideration, this episode is still great, and I'm gonna rate an 8 out of 10. I thought this episode was fine, and I cannot wait for more. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on the episode. Comment down your thoughts in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Subscribe for more. Alright, bye-bye, everyone.